champions, but under Arne Slot, even with all the big money buys, it has gone thoroughly pear-shaped. They lose at home to Nottingham Forest. Well done to Nottingham Forest. But having said that, this was Liverpool's 6th defeat in their past 7 league games, and they are down in 11th place. Who would have thought it? Former captain Graeme Souness joins us live on the show this morning. Graeme, great to speak to you again. It's been some time, but the circumstances aren't that great, are they? Do you recognise Liverpool Football Club right now, Graeme? Your club?
No, I think everyone who knows anything about football would be majorly surprised. There's a saying, Jim, you should never be surprised. There's surprises in football. If I can tell you a quick story, when I played there, we lost to Man City on Boxing Day one year. We went to 12th in the league. And we must have been a good team because the season before we'd won the European Cup. So we go to 12th on Boxing Day. And I knew the staff, well, we all knew the staff were at their wits' end. Now, I worked with some of the best football people that I've ever been, Bob Paisley, Joe Fagan, Ronnie Moran. And they were on to us in the build-up time because we haven't been doing well, obviously, going 12th at Christmas time. And they, ultimately, I could take you to Melwood, the training ground now, to the very, very spot where Joe Fagan stood us in a circle and said, I've given up on you now. Everything I know, every bit of information I could have given you, I've given you. And it's still not working. So now, from this moment on, you're on your effing own. I can't help you anymore. We can't help you anymore. Suffice to say, we went on to win the league. Now, if you're asking me what's wrong with Liverpool now, I can't tell you. Because you don't become a bad player overnight. You don't lose your belief. People talk about small margins in football. You're not talking about a couple of feet. You can be talking about inches. And there's something obviously not quite right, but I can't tell you because I'm not working with them every day. I'm sure they're still having a go. If you look at the manager won't be doing anything different. The manager was successful last year. And very rarely do you get a job in football like he did, where the club was still moving forward. Current group, young group, big budget. How good can it get? Can't get any better than that. So he did a marvellous job last year. Now, this year you can bet he's wearing the same underpants, he's travelling the same way to games, they'll be using the same words, they'll be training the same, everything will be the same, but it's not happening for them. And that is the mystery of football. And when you lot there, I say you lot in a nice way, talking about it's theirs to lose, it's absolute nuts. Anything can happen in our league. I've worked in big leagues abroad, and I tell you, our league is by far the most demanding league anywhere. Big clubs don't get a rest. So it's still very much on for 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah.
Great. And I have to include Liverpool because I know the way the crowd react there.
Do you think
they won't give up on the team?
Before Simon comes in, are Liverpool still in this title race?
The story I just told you, I have to believe that. You know, the way the crowd are.
Graeme, in 81, you lost 7 games and you won 26. Mm-hmm. You won 5 titles, by the way, okay? And you were winning them back to back. It was a different Liverpool perhaps then. They've already lost 6 games this year.
Martin, you've been around the block several times. You know there's madness in football. Anything can happen.
They'll have to win virtually every game of the season.
I was a betting man, which I'm not. I wouldn't bet on them. But I think you'd be mad to bet against them unless you're a really keen gambler. Football is full of surprise. That's why it's the most loved, most watched, most interesting sport in the world for me.
Graeme, is there any thought process in your mind that Slot's getting a little bit found out? Not because I want you to be controversial, but because he assembled nothing last year. He assembled a group of players that were already fit for purpose, that Klopp had left a wonderful legacy for him, and he pointed them in the right direction, which is, I know, is a bit simplifying the position. Now he's having to restructure a team, certainly, spent 400 or 500 million quid to put some different players into the squad to build a team because tragedy, loss of players, lost circumstances, and so on and so forth. Is there any thought process, Gray, that this is a little bit more of what Slot really is rather than what he was last year?
Well, you're right. I agree with part of that, Simon. I mean, he walked into a dream situation, and all anoraks last year, and of course, I have pages to fill and stations to get on there and offer their opinions. I didn't see anything different in Liverpool last year. He inherited a fantastic group of players, and he started the season trying to get that message across again. Nothing changes. Let's just keep doing the same things. When you talk about forget he spent any money. this is the way I would look at it. Forget he spent any money. What about the group that were there last year that are not turning up this year? Forget what money he spent. And, you know, if you've been in business, you've had a football club, you revert to type, don't you? You think, well, that's not working. I'll try to tweak it a wee bit. We can maybe revisit that next month, 2 months. Let's just go back to the tried and tested. Let's use the players that won us it last year. And he's tried that, and it's still not happening for him. So I can't give you or any Liverpool supporter an explanation.
What about as a Liverpool captain? You've got Virgil van Dijk in the media talking about this isn't good enough, we're not winning enough battles, we're not enough duels. So when you revert to type, these players don't look like they're at it. And that's on them, isn't it? That's
where I'd be looking. The players that have been down the road, they know what's expected at Liverpool, they know the demands that's put on them at that football club by their supporters. That's where I'd be looking. You're right. I think listen, you can look at it this way. Are they as good as we thought they were? Maybe not. People that were talking about being great players, are they really great players? Because now you find out about great players. Now the people who really, really matter at a football club. You only need one out and out leader. One. And then you've got the ones that will dodge in and out of being a leader, and they join that one. And all of a sudden, you've got a very strong dressing room. Who's that man now? Who is? Without giving any names away. 5:30 on Saturday, I phoned an old player pal of mine. We played in the same team at Liverpool, won everything together. And I phoned him. I said, "This happened today?" And he said, "Chelsea, you wouldn't believe what's happened." He said, "They've gone." He said, "They've gone." And I said, this is a bit that, and this is my next question. This is a bit I said, which I think told me everything I need to know. Was anyone getting angry with anyone on the pitch? He said, no, their heads were all down. That's not a good sign. And I'll come back to your point, which is, Simon, which is the correct one. Is there any men in there that can now stand up, take the pressure off the manager, take the pressure off the staff, and really start pointing a finger at a few people that are maybe just, you know, when you're on the ball and they're standing behind the player instead of showing for it, just little subtle things that you can tell if they're on it or not.
Graeme, would you question Virgil van Dijk's leadership right now?
I'm not there on a daily basis with him. I saw something, I'll say this, controversial or not. I've seen something in him before he became captain that I didn't think big players did on a football pitch. That's my opinion.
What? Specifically what?
I'll tell you, all right, I'll go out on a limb then. You know, I find it hard to when I get angry. And right, I'm playing with Alan Hansen. Martin will like this. And I'd go and chauffeur the ball off Alan Hansen, a simple pass. And he'd never give it to me. And I'd have a go at him afterwards. I said, "Will you just pass the effing ball to me?" He said, "Why?" I said, "Because I can play, but I'm better than you. I pass the ball better than you. So why should I pass it to you?" Now, when Jordan Henderson was in the team, Jordan Henderson developed like all midfield players seem to do today. They go into the back four and take a 10-yard pass and pass it 10 yards to the right back. I saw Virgil van Dijk do that every single game on multiple occasions. And that's telling me big players would say, "Get to. I can pass it 20 yards to the right back. I can ping it 30, which he started to do when he became captain. But why do you need an armband before he went down that road? Just an observation, just a subtle little thing. I thought, be a leader. Tell people, do one. Tell them you're better than them. Now, have they got anyone there doing that now?
But Graeme, you're talking a lot about players, and you had a unique group back in the day. But isn't this as much about the manager? So he gives you the platform to go out and play. So Diaz has left the club. For me, he should never have been allowed to leave the football club. Yeah, you got Kirkes at left back. I don't think he's quite at the level. Alexander-Arnold's been allowed to leave the football club. Did they really go after him to keep him at the football club? You know, you've changed the makeup of your midfield to be more creative, and actually it's made you more vulnerable. And you spent a fortune on strikers, and you don't seem to have any connections. There's no relationships. There's no real chemistry. There wasn't a lot wrong in the Klopp days. I thought he came in slot and enhanced it. He gave them time. They weren't crazy Klopp anymore. They were calmer in their build-up and in their press. This year, the wheels have come off, and it doesn't feel like the manager knew the answers after the game. That's the biggest. There's a worry that the players look like they weren't really putting their foot in, but when they don't know what to do, they do nothing.
So the question is, does Slot have the answers? Does Slot have the answers? What do you think, Graeme?
Well, we'll come back to it again, Jim. We talk about big players. Big players come up with the answers. You know what, Simon? What you're alluding to there, let me tell you, if you agree with this, Mark. When I played football, you know what my priority was? It wasn't to make clever, cute passes. It wasn't to try and score a goal. It was to make life as easy as possible for my two centre-halves. Mm-hmm. So I never ventured too far from that unless the game developed in a way we were totally dominating. I think right now, when you look at a team conceding goals, people automatically, and you go back to City last year, for me, again, just my opinion, the ills of Man City last year, you had Gundogan and De Bruyne, who just couldn't, and you're talking small margins, just couldn't do the intensity of the press from the start of the game to the finish. And all of a sudden, the back four looked vulnerable because people could break that press. I think Liverpool might be looking at that problem as well. I don't feel the mix in midfield is correct. They're all very good on the ball, but when there's a transition, do they sense that danger and do they do it collectively? And I think with Liverpool looking vulnerable, as they have been.
20 goals conceded so far.
As Man City did last year, I think it's more to do with their midfield than anything else.
Graeme, we're loving what you're giving us, and judging by the reaction from Liverpool fans, so are they. We're going to take a brief time out and return to you. Graeme Souness with us live on talkSPORT. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday morning, Monday, November the 24th. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, Martin Keownwere. We're live on talkSPORT, and we're live on your TV as well. You can watch the show as well as listen to it, and many of you are watching live on YouTube, and many of you are listening to talkSPORT, and many of you are reacting to former Liverpool captain Graeme Souness' comments this morning on what has happened to Liverpool. They lose at home to Nottingham Forest at the weekend. They're 6 defeat in their past 7 league games, and now Liverpool this Monday morning, having won the title last season, sit 11th right now. And former captain Graeme Souness is putting a lot, if not most of the blame at the feet of the players. Graeme, it's good to have you on. The reaction is seismic from Liverpool fans, I have to tell you. Many of them in complete agreement with you. But having said what you've said, Joe Fagan years ago got you guys together and said, right, it's over to you. Over to you. I can't get you to do what I want you to do. It's down to you, the players. Where does Arne Slot fit in here, Graeme, in your eyes? Does he get a pass here?
No, ultimately he won't. Ultimately, he knows his fate if this continues. But my blame would be on the players right now. As I've said to you already, he'll be using the same words. He'll be using the same tactics. He'll be training the same way. He'll be resting them up the same way. The travel will be the same. Same underwear you'll wear for what? You know, when you're a manager, you get into little quirky things. He'll be doing all that, and he'll be scratching his head, and it'll be keeping him awake at night. Yeah, I put it firmly at the feet of the players at this time.
Does he?
But I know.
Does he not need to?
As a manager, you pay the ultimate price.
Does he not need to do different things, though, tactically now, Graeme? Is it not down to him to mastermind it?
No. It's not about masterminds. It's about players. Is it a coincidence, Jim? Martin, Simon, is that a coincidence that all the best coaches have the best players?
Yeah, but Graeme, isn't it?
Is that a fair point?
Isn't it beholden on the manager, yeah, to find the right balance, the right chemistry? And it's true to say, obviously, can you think of a signing right now that you'd be looking at actually and thinking, well, do you know, he's added something for the team? They're far weaker this year than last year, and they spent £450 million.
You know the way the club's operate now. He will have had a say in it, like I'm sure Jurgen had a say in it. But there's other people involved, and I would ask you at this time to take any player they've signed out of this picture, out of this story. What's happened to the guys that won the league last year? Are they the same players? His tactics, his training, his formation, his substitutions, his preparation. Everything about him last year was right. That's why they won the league. Because you don't win the league by accident.
Yeah, but when you win, Graham, when you win in one particular way, and you look at Gravenberch in that midfield sitting deep, and McAllister was magnificent one side, Szoboszlai the other, and then you change that slightly, the makeup of that, and you bring Wirtz in to play off the front, so you change the sort of the base of that midfield. It doesn't work. The players can't say, can they, what they think, which is like, okay,
why can't they?
You've made this worse. I assume internally that the players are now saying, well, there must be a meeting today. There must be a sit down.
Why do you think the players can't have their say? Players have bigger say today than they've ever done.
Yeah, but you have to know your place sometimes. But look, you can have an honest conversation, but in the end, the manager's word is what goes, and you'll dance to that tune. You know that you've been a player, you've been a manager, and I can't help thinking Slot has created this problem because he's tried to be more creative, and they've lost the things that have got them to be champions.
I've said this already. He's gone. Forget the players he's bought. Forget the players he's bought. You don't think for a minute he's tried to go back to the system that were winning him games last year.
But Graham, how can you forget that Florian Wirtz cost 100 million plus?
I'm not.
That Alexander Isak cost 125 million. You can't take them out of the equation, surely.
Martin, you would have been at Arsenal when Thierry turned up.
Yeah.
I think the first 8 games he didn't score a goal.
He sat him on the bench.
And then ended up scoring 26 goals at the end of that season. He's a case in point. It might be a case of when the penny drops with Wirtz. I have to say this as well, that German football is nowhere near as demanding as English Premier League. So you're not going to come. We're now November. He's not turned up yet. They will be hoping and praying that he does. Because, Jim, I'm with you. It's a hell of a lot of money to spend on a player if he ends up not doing the business. Because I'm not sure where the marketplace for him is in the resale. So they would take an absolute nosebleed with that one. But it is what it is. That's football. No one gets every signing right. But forget the new signings. Stop talking about the new signings.
Put aside
Think of Liverpool that won the league last year with those players. What Martin's alluding to, again, is a manager's job is to get the very best out of that group of players. Right now, that is not happening. So he is culpable. To what extent? Time will tell. But he has got to get it right sooner rather than later. But right now, my focus with him in situ, my focus would be on the players who won the league last year, and I'd be saying to them, what we're not doing that we're doing last year.
But isn't that the question, Graeme? And it's about the level of it. At the end of the day, a player not performing at the level that you want him to perform at, to some extent, is a choice that he'll be allowed to think he's able to have, in terms of a manager will either concentrate his mind to get the reaction from him or he won't, so it becomes a managerial responsibility. And when you superimpose the experiences of your time over the circumstances now, you will acknowledge that players are completely different in their outlook, in their expectations of circumstances than when you were playing with Alan Hansen. So when you talk about the dynamics of what could happen in this circumstance against what happened 30, 40, 50 years ago, it's a completely different discussion, though, isn't it, Gray? And so it goes back again to what the manager is prepared to do to get the core group of players, put aside the new players, right, that you want to put aside in this conversation. It has to come back to the manager communicating to the core group of players to get them at least operating at a level.
But my as I said to you already, the story I told with Joe Fagan, that was them basically holding their hands up and saying, every bit of knowledge we've imparted, everything we can say to you, we've said. Now it's up to you. Now, the players we had in our dressing room proved to be absolute, serial winners and people that stood up when the going got tough. Do Liverpool have that in the dressing room right now? And that is the answer. We won't know the answer to that until the end of the season. And I'm not absolving the manager of any blame. But he's got a group of players there that were bloody good last year, and people are paying them giving them enormous plaudits, correctly so. And this year, and I come back to that small margins thing, you only, in some cases, Martin, the best example I can give to that, the Community Shield, the penalty that Van Dijk gave away in that, where he's just got there 6 inches too late. Leads to a penalty. These are the little things that I feel are impacting on their team throughout. And there'll be a few personalities in that are feeling sorry for themselves, and that will magnify itself if there's not any leaders there to point it out. And it has to be sometimes.
Yeah,
in a pretty harsh way.
Graham,
Graham, would you
that's
consider
sport.
taking the captaincy off Van Dijk?
God, you kidding me?
No, not this time, no. I mean, who's the obvious one? He is the obvious one. I mean, he's a Rolls Royce of a player. But right now, he's having the most difficult time in his career at Liverpool. What is he, 34 years old now? So he has all the experience. He looks like he's still got the athleticism. Be a captain now. You can only be a captain, as I see it, and this is the way I was told, if you're having a good day, son, then help others around you. I would suggest to him, get your job right first. And I think the guy next to him, Kanati, needs a lot of help. That's the most immediate one he can help. And maybe a few others beyond that. But I'm not absolving the manager of any blame. He has to hold his hands up and say, I could do better. But the majority for them to improve has to come from the players.
And does Salah need to do better? I don't think
Christ.
Yeah.
How long have we got?
Go on. The stage is yours. Go for it.
Oh, no. Well, he needs to, he's been an absolute superstar. This is the nicest thing I can say about Salah. He's been the go-to man for the last 7 years. He gets in if you're picking an all-time Liverpool 11, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. I think it's his brother that's turned up this season. To me, I saw an incident with, again, that Community Shield. Just look for little signals. There was a ball. He had his back to the sideline, and the ball split up, and it's going towards the left back in that game against Crystal Palace. And he could easily have gone there. He's not going to win it. He's not a big, strong aerial type. But at least he goes and makes life a wee bit difficult for the fullback to do what he wants to do with it, head it where he wants to head it or bring it down. He made no attempt to make that challenge. I'm thinking, and he's never been the bravest. He's never going to get hurt in 50-50. Always he's cute as anything. And I wouldn't want him to because he's such a genius at the top end. But he's shown lack of appetite. And I'm sorry, hard words sometimes are the kindest words. And I think he needs hard words that ultimately will get him back to being the superstar that he's been for Liverpool. But this season, he has not turned up.
If you were Slot, would you consider dropping him right now?
Well, he has done, hasn't he? He has left him out.
Yeah. Graham, to finish with, if they don't do what you suggested they do, that you did all these years ago.
I'm not making suggestions to anyone, Jim.
No, I understand
I'm pointing out.
I understand that. But you guys got it together when Fagan said, I can't get a tune out of you. It's up to you lot now. If that happens and the players continue to misfire, what kind of season are Liverpool going to end up having?
Well, it could be a very ordinary season. But by the manager saying that, he is then totally reliant on what kind of leaders he has in that dressing room. You look at the people I was in the dressing room, there were some proper leaders there, that would voice their opinion at every opportunity. They would dig people out. I'm not sure if that happens in a modern dressing room. I see goals conceded on a weekly basis by teams. I just see them look at each other and sort of, they might look to the sky, but there's no pointing a finger and getting after people. It's all very nice today, isn't it? It's all just very lovely. They're all just lovely guys.
Listen,
hugging at half-time. Complimenting each other when they make a tackle. These defenders, like one you're sitting with, they make a challenge and they get up and they're shaking hands because they made a challenge that maybe saved a shot on goal. Bloody hell, what's it come to? But I have to admit, I'm a cuddly type now anyway. I'm a cuddler now. So next time I see you boys, you can buy me a beer. Simon, who's buying dinner next time?
You.
Why?
Because it'll be a first.
Listen, before you leave us, Graham, and I can't pass this opportunity up, and I'm thrilled you joined us this morning, incidentally, and thanks for doing it. Some time ago, he said, Declan Rice, he's a defender. I don't think so, is he?
I think ultimately that's where he'll play. I think someone was it after the last England game, there was some journalist pointing out something I pointed out about 5 years ago. I think if you're talking about the defensive side of the game, for a central midfield player, central-ish midfield player, he's a 10 out of 10. I think he's a 6 out of 10 when he's with the ball trying to make cute and clever passes. Just my opinion.
Graham, brilliant. Great to have you on board this morning. Thank you so much, Graham. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Graeme Souness with us live, telling it as it is. in his view, regards Liverpool and what's going on there. You might want to react to some of that because some of it was breathtaking. Graeme Souness with us live on the show this morning as we come up to 10 to 11.